It is 9:04 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It is June the 17th, 2025, and this is episode 1117 of Bitcoin and It's the News, minus all the noise. What do I got on deck today? Well, the EU risks becoming a flyover zone as far as Bitcoin is concerned, and Thailand is in the news, as well as Pump.fun. We're going to talk a little bit about MetaPlanet because they flipped Coinbase on their reserves, and that's going to be a little bit interesting, but not as interesting as Tennessee's Senator Hagerty's vision beyond the Genius Act. He is looking at his home state of Tennessee in a very, very serious way when it comes to Bitcoin and power differentials in the United States. Fold is in the news. H100 Group is in the news. And so is DDC Enterprises, because they're all either just entering, becoming a Bitcoin treasury company, or they are adding to their stack. And even though, and I get it, we're not all that happy about the fact that we're seeing this new fad. And if you've been in Bitcoin, for any length of time, that should worry you. And it should. I mean, well, it shouldn't scare you because there's nothing that we can do. What would be more scary is if we were somehow able to not allow these companies to actually stack Bitcoin, because that means that anybody would be able to tell anybody else whether they could or couldn't stack Bitcoin. Because remember, Bitcoin is for enemies, whether you like it or not. But these companies are buying Bitcoin, and they're buying a lot of Bitcoin. And I just think that it's important to keep abreast on the fact that this is expanding. And it's expanding in ways that I am still kind of caught flat-footed on just how fast this is all going. But first, let's get into the European Union. They are risking becoming a crypto flyover zone between the United States and Asia, according to a report from Franklin Templeton. Stephen Graves brings it to us from Decrypt. The EU risks becoming a flyover zone for crypto as the pace of legislation lags behind the United States and Asia, according to an executive at asset management firm Franklin Templeton. Speaking at the DigiAssets 2025 conference, the firm's international legal lead for digital products, Catriona Kellis, argued that while Europe is in a strong place, there are concerns that it could become a flyover zone between the United States and Asia. She lauded the energy that's coming from the United States, which is providing an energy boost in Europe. Quote, "There's a real risk with this technology that jurisdictions which were perhaps at the very forefront just a few years ago, it's so easy to fall behind if it takes a long time to go through your legislative process," she said, pointing to other jurisdictions with more flexible approaches to the crypto sector. The European Commission appears to be taking notice, recalling a recent talk where, quote, "They said a word that I'd never heard them say before, which was competition. Quote, they're definitely asking the right questions," Kellis said, adding that there are more than whispers around the MiCA 2, which is an update to the markets in crypto assets legislation that came into force June 2023. Quote, "It's definitely potentially coming." Definitely potentially coming. Well, honey, the end of everything is definitely potentially coming. What? Oh my, sorry. I trip over things like that and it just freaks me out. It's definitely potentially coming, y'all. It's an announcement of an announcement. She added, hedging her bets somewhat. Oh, for fuck's sake, hedging her bets. That's not just hedging your bets, man. Kellis also flagged the EU's DLT, or Distributed Ledger Technology Pilot Regime. It's meant to provide crypto companies in a sandbox, or with a sandbox, in which to operate while regulators observe how things pan out. It's only been in effect for a year, but officials are trying to renovate and make sure that it's fit for purpose. So is MiCA 2 incoming? Amid the healthy energy that's going to start coming out of Europe, Kay suggested that concerns that MiCA 2 could prove to be more restrictive may be lessened lessened as we see some of Europe looking to what's going on in the US and what's going on in APAC. The crypto industry isn't sitting around. Just this week, reports revealed that crypto exchanges Coinbase and Gemini are angling for operational licenses in Luxembourg and Malta, respectively, which would enable them to operate across EU's 27 member states. Some European Union regulators have reportedly raised concerns over the rapid pace of, quote, passporting approvals in some jurisdictions, which prevent EU states from blocking crypto asset service providers once they're licensed to operate in one state. As global adoption of digital assets becomes more entrenched, Kay anticipated an institutional attitude change among regulators and lawmakers around the world. Quote, it's quite difficult to put that back in the box and go back to a more risk-averse approach, she said. And looking at regulatory enforcement, she added, quote, we're thinking about that soft regulatory approach, which, can be just as challenging to opt to manage as what's written on the page, whatever the hell that means. Increasingly, Kay suggested, quote, what we're really seeing is regulators being challenged by their governments, being challenged by their leaders to make that change and not just within the box that they've always been presented with. So MiCA 2 is on the horizon, apparently. And this is the first I've actually heard about MiCA 2. So it's going to be interesting to see just how worse it gets for Europe, because I can almost guarantee it's not going to get any better for Europe. Christine Lagarde has penned a piece. I'm not going to read it. And the ECB is touting it as her latest blog post, talking about how they're really going to push the digital euro to prominence. And it's just sad to see, because they're reaching at straws over there at the EU. And as this headline has suggested, that the EU could become a flyover zone between the United States and Asia, just to reinforce that idea, we have this one from atlas21.com. Thailand has abolished taxes on Bitcoin. It is a 5-year tax exemption. According to eFinance Thai, Thailand has approved a 5-year tax exemption on profits from the sale of Bitcoin and other digital assets. The decision aims to position the country as one of the world's leading digital financial hubs. On June 17th, Thailand's cabinet officially approved the tax measure proposed by the Ministry of Finance. The initiative removes personal income tax on capital gains from the sale of cryptocurrencies conducted through licensed operators under the 2018 Digital Asset Business Act. Deputy Finance Minister Julapun Amoraviet stated that the tax policy is a cornerstone of the government's strategy to turn Thailand into a major global center for Bitcoin and blockchain-based financial services. The capital gains tax exemption, which will be in effect from January the 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2029. It applies exclusively to transactions carried out via exchanges, brokers, and dealers licensed and regulated by Thailand's Securities and Exchange Commission. Thai authorities estimate that the tax reform will boost the domestic Bitcoin market, generating positive spillovers for the country's innovative tech ecosystem. Economic projections indicate a medium-term increase in tax revenues of at least 1 billion baht, or around $30 million US, driven by sector growth and fresh investment inflows. According to the government, the initiative is also expected to encourage capital raising through digital tokens and foster the development of blockchain-based financial services. I think what they're really trying to do is make sure that they don't have a shit ton of capital flight. But see, this is where Europe is. They're going to be last in line, as Ronnie James Dio used to say in that song, Last in Line. If you've never heard that song, it's literally one of the greatest songs from the 80s you will ever hear, if you ever liked any kind of decent kind of rock and roll. They're going to be the last in line. Europe is going to just absolutely, their hubris is so strong at this point that they're going to not even see just how badly they've fallen behind. With Germany nuking all of its nuclear reactors for energy production, at the same time allowing themselves to be completely dependent on Russian gas, at the exact same time that Russia invades Ukraine, and now Germany finds themselves in a whole pickle of energy deficits. You got France, who is the largest grid in Europe, and yet half of that country went down. Was it Spain? But they were relying on part of France's energy grid, kind of went down. Europe is not looking good at all. I mean, from any way that you look at Europe, Europe is not looking like it is anywhere close to the catbird seat. And yet here we have Christine Lagarde continuously talking about the digital euro. It's not going to go anywhere. And anybody that gets duped into trading anything that they actually have of value in exchange for the digital euro is going to find themselves on the wrong side of everything. And I hope anybody that's in Europe that's listening to this takes note of that. Just be very careful with what's going on y'all's side of the pond right here, okay? Now, meme coins. Oh, God. Pump.fun seems like they might be in trouble. And probably more than just what we're going to read here, because generally speaking, when things like this happen, it means there's something else is boiling up under the surface. But Pump.fun and other meme coin accounts have been suspended from X in an apparent crackdown. Shara Malwa has this one from CoinDesk. Social media giant X. Yeah, I'm going to have to just start saying X because it's just too hard to say Twitter. This is Bitcoin And's capitulation. Okay, Musk, you got me. I'm just going to call it X from now on. Social media giant X suspended Pump.fun's official account and co-founder Elon Cohen's personal handle on June the 16th, alongside other meme coin related platforms, including GMGN, Bloom Trading, BullX, Eliza OS, and more earlier on Tuesday. The platform issued no reason, triggering speculation about internal policy enforcement or wider regulatory intervention, but sparked grapevine talk in crypto circles of a possible legal crackdown on such products. Pump.fun's website remains live as of Asia's morning hours on Tuesday, continuing to churn out Solana meme coins uninterrupted, and theories range from unauthorized live stream or API abuse, pump and dump mechanics, or early stage SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission activity. So far, none of these theories have been confirmed by platform officials or regulators. Last November, concerns over unsafe live stream content ranging from threats of violence, to explicit stunts, forced the team to disable the feature entirely. So I have no idea what that last bit is about, but it does seem that Pump.fun has been taken out of circulation, at least on X. And if you don't know what Pump.fun actually is, do you remember Hawk2a coin? Or do you remember, what was it, the raccoon and squirrel coin that farmer, that guy had, I don't know, he started these two meme coins or whatever when the animal services came over and euthanized his pet squirrel and raccoon, and he made meme coins out of it. All of that was done through Pump.fun. And I'm pretty much convinced that the way this works is that Pump.fun scans social media and looks for what's trending, and then goes and examines that, and then makes a determination whether or not there's somebody behind a meme that's going viral, like the Hawk2a girl or the squirrel guy, and then reaches out to them and say, hey, I can make you a lot of money. Let's do a meme coin. The people on the other end of the phone have literally no idea what they're about to engage in, and everybody gets duped for millions of dollars. So clearly this is Pump.fun is just a scam machine. And if I were you, I would stay as far away from it as humanly possible. That's for damn sure. Do you need a wallet? Do you need a wallet to put your fiat credit cards in? Do you need a wallet that could functionally act as an NFC device that you can just tap and pay with Lightning? Well, you got it over here at theleathermint.com. That's theleathermint.com, where you've got all manner of wallets and belts and all kinds of hand-built leather goods. Not only is the leather of the highest quality, but the construction of the wallets and belts, and now he's even making watch bands, although I don't think he's actually got anything for sale just yet, but he's over on Nostr showing some watch bands that look pretty damn good. All of his gear is hand stitched, guys. He knows what he's doing. He's been doing this for a while. His product just gets better and better and better. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the kind of wallet that's going to outlive you. This is the kind of wallet that after you die, your son or daughter might actually go, I want the wallet. I want the wallet. I want something to remember dad by. I know it sounds a little awful, but who doesn't want something from their father or their mother after they've passed away? But you need to have something of high quality to be able to make it that long. You know how many wallets I've been through? I've been through like 5 wallets in my life. I keep looking at these things, and I can't afford it right now, but I keep looking at these things. This is the wallet that I want. Of all the wallets that I've ever looked at, this is the wallet that I want. These come in all manner of colors. They are hand stitched. If you look really closely at the stitching, you're going to understand why this thing is never, ever, 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 ever going to fall apart. And you can get 10% off of any purchase with the use of Bitcoin and in the coupon code. Theleathermint.com. Leathermint takes Bitcoin. Okay. In fact, they sell all their stuff he sells all his stuff for Bitcoin, because if you're not in selling your stuff for Bitcoin, you're not in the Circle P, because the Circle P is about supporting each other. When you support the Leathermint by buying his wallets and belts and other items, you're supporting Leathermint. When you do that, Leathermint is able to say, hey, Bitcoin and made a sale for me. I'm going to support Bitcoin and by sending him some Satoshis. The way that works is that Leathermint gets to determine how much the sale was worth. And then Leathermint, if I make a sale for Leathermint, will actually cut me some Satoshis for that sale. Again, it's 10% off with Bitcoin. And if you want a wallet that's going to outlive you, go to theleathermint.com. That's theleathermint.com. Use Bitcoin and to make sure you get 10% off and to tell him where he made the sale from. On to MetaPlanet. Their BTC reserves has now flipped Coinbase in one of the most embarrassing moves I've ever seen. It's actually a little bit ridiculous. In fact, I want to get something up here. I've got to get TradingView up so that we can look at MetaPlanet while we're doing this. All right, go to week. All right. So, MetaPlanet's BTC reserve flips Coinbase, reaching its 2025 goal. And this is Alex Larry from BitcoinNews.com. In its latest Bitcoin Acquisition Act, Japanese investment firm MetaPlanet has hit its target of 10,000 Bitcoin, a goal it set for 2025, but achieved in just 6 months. With the latest purchase of 1,112 Bitcoin worth approximately $117.2 million, the company has now surpassed United States-based giant Coinbase, which holds 9,267 Bitcoin and is now the 9th largest public Bitcoin holder in the world. And CEO Simon Gurovich announced MetaPlanet has acquired 1,112 Bitcoin for $117.2 million at $105,435 per Bitcoin, and has achieved a BTC yield of 266.1% year to date in 2025. Okay, so whether or not we know, we've already known that they have 10,000, which I told you about yesterday, is not really the point. I'm looking at their weekly chart over here on TradingView.com. And in let's just take February of 2020, you had I got to actually convert this over to USD because for some reason it keeps coming up in Japanese yen, and it's not. Okay, there we go. So let's go all the way back. Let's go all the way back to its highest price ever. And that was In February of 2006, it had a high price of $301 a share, right? It started plummeting. It plummeted all the way down in August of 2010 to $2.15. And then it shot back up in April of 2013, but then its lowest point ever was in 2024, February. And that's right around the time that they announced that they were getting into Bitcoin. So February 2024, they were chilling out at 11 cents per share. Now, they've had stock splits, okay? So it's when you're looking at stuff in the past, before a company starts doing stock splits, things feel a little weird when you're talking about these prices on the long term, because they have been adjusted for these stock splits. But just bear with me, because in February of 2024, you're looking at 11 cents. Now it's at $12.75. That's a phenomenal rate of change. And if I look at this on the monthly basis, I'm looking at like, we're looking at like just a year and a half or so of nothing but green candles. And we're talking massive green candles here for MetaPlanet. So I'm not suggesting that you go buy MetaPlanet by any means. If you really need Bitcoin, just go out and buy Bitcoin. Just hold it yourself. But we are seeing some rather awful downward pressure today. I can only assume that is because of the Iran-Israeli war that's going on right now, and is probably affecting other markets. In fact, let's run the numbers. Futures and commodities, but first, retail sales on a month over month. That data just dropped, and people are buying less. Negative 0.9 is the actual number, and the forecast was negative 0.7, and previously it was negative 0.1. So sales have slowed precipitously. That's pretty much driving a lot of what we're seeing in the markets. Right now, Bitcoin is down 2.44% to $104,222. And I almost guarantee that it's not just the retail sales numbers. Oil, as you might expect, is doing very, very well this morning. 2.86% upwards momentum for West Texas Intermediate brings it to 73.82. And Brent North Sea is up almost 3 points to $75.36. Natural gas swinging for the fences. $2.4%, bringing it to $3.83 per thousand cubic feet. Ladies and gentlemen, we have not seen that price in quite a while. Gasoline also on the rise, 1.2% to the upside, $2.24 a gallon. Gold is down a half point to $33.97 and 5 dimes. Silver is up 2 1/4. Platinum is up almost a full percent. Copper is down a half. Palladium is up 2. Biggest winner in ag today is wheat, 2.42% to the upside. Biggest loser appears to be sugar, 2.72% to the downside. Live cattle is down 1.7, lean hogs down 0.18, and feeder cattle are down 1 1/4. The Dow is crab walking sideways, but it's in the red slightly. S&P is down 1/4, NASDAQ is down 0.2%, and S&P is down 0.2%. And as I mentioned, Bitcoin is down from yesterday's $108,000 price tag. It is now barely scratching $104,180. That is a $2.07 trillion market cap, and we're only able to purchase 30.6 ounces of shiny metal rocks with our one Bitcoin, of which there are 19,879,928.96 of, and average fees per block are quite high, 0.05 BTC taken in fees on a per block basis. There appear to be about 13 blocks carrying 16,000 unconfirmed transactions waiting to clear at high priority rates of 5 Satoshis per VByte. Low priorities get you in at 4. We've had a pretty good drop in hash rate, but we're still above 900. hanging in at 901.6 exahashes per second. And from, oh, good Lord, Trump goes full crypto. I've got boostograms. Holy shit, I've got Jay with 25,000 Satoshis. Says, I've been listening off of Fountain for a little while, but I'm back on it. Thanks for bringing me all the news that I can use, calling out Turkey to say something. Or are you chicken? Hi, Yodel. Psyduck with 718 sats says, Psyduck. Yodel with 511 says, Turkey speaks. Turkey with 500 sats says, sorry, fat fingered the first boost. Back to radio silence. Turkey with another 500 says, GI. That must be the fat fingered boost. Permanerd with 210 says, gee whiz, this is a good show. Jay with 210 says, my apologies to Turkey. Sent that last boost at the top of the show. Really interesting to see how different parts of TradFi get into Bitcoin in every way possible. It'll be fun to see how each strategy shakes out over the years. Yeah, it will. Pies with 100 says, thank you, sir. No, thank you. And that's it. Again, to Jay and this massive ass 25,000 Satoshi boost. Thank you so much, sir. It is very much appreciated, as all of the boost and live streaming is appreciated. If you want to help support the show, get a Podcasting 2.0 enabled app. Please get off of Apple Podcast. Get off of SoundCloud. You guys have got to start looking at the Podcasting 2.0 apps. Fountain.fm is my daily driver, and they keep upgrading it. Sometimes it breaks, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm a huge Fountain fan. I've been a fan of Fountain for a long time. Go to fountain.fm and get your app on your iPhone and or your Android phone. That way you can send me boosts. You can support the show. You can do it with Satoshis. It's the easiest way. All you got to do is hit that zap button, man. Just hit the zap button. That's the weather report. Welcome to part 2 of the news you can use. Senator Hagerty's vision beyond the Genius Act. He wants to make Tennessee a hub for Bitcoin mining. This is Frank Corva writing for Bitcoin Magazine. Senator Bill Hagerty has been in the headlines as of late as the Genius Act, a bill for which he was the primary sponsor, moves closer to passing in the United States Senate. And you know what the Genius Act is. I'm not going to rehash it. However, stable coins, of which the Genius Act is about, aren't the only thing Senator Hagerty's mind is on. He's also thinking about how to best produce and harness energy in the great state of Tennessee to use it for Bitcoin mining and artificial intelligence compute power. He shared his vision on this topic with me in an interview I conducted with him at Bitcoin 2025. Quote, we have an opportunity before us to be in the very lead, Senator Hagerty told Bitcoin Magazine, in regards to building nuclear facility that can be used to produce energy for Bitcoin mining and AI compute power. Quote, the largest utility in the world is the Tennessee Valley Authority, certainly the largest one in America, and I think we've got a unique opportunity here to move forward and become the energy hub of America, end quote. Pausing. The Tennessee Valley Authority is one of the most important energy utility institutions that the United States has. The Tennessee Valley Authority, back in the day, was heavily involved in the production of the first nuclear weapons on this planet. And a lot of people don't remember that. But Tennessee is one of the greatest states for nuclear energy because it has its history goes decades back into the earlier 1900s in the United States, late 1930s, getting into the early 40s. And they now everybody knows that the bomb was built out in New Mexico. White Sands in particular. But where did the nuclear material come from? Well, that was part of what the Tennessee Valley Authority was involved with back in the day. And they've never kind of left. And one of the things that, if I remember correctly, that got spun out of that was the Atomic Energy Commission of the United States after World War II. And then and I can't remember what the Atomic Energy Commission started or became after that. But when we talk about the Tennessee Valley Authority, they really do understand nuclear energy, probably more than any other state in the United States. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that before we continue. Quote, we should see more and more, not only mining operations, but if you think about what Elon Musk is doing in Memphis with XAI, the data centers, the opportunities with artificial intelligence, there are many, many things that are going to happen in Tennessee. The senator added that he believes the state can also strike partnerships with Oak Ridge National Laboratory, Vanderbilt University, the University of Tennessee, and Tennessee Tech as it works to become a more friendly destination for Bitcoin miners and data centers. Pausing to remind everybody that Oak Ridge National Laboratory was, in fact, where nuclear material was being processed, and that's where a lot of the design of how these nuclear bombs were actually going to work. Right? So this is, again, Tennessee has a rich history in nuclear energy. So this guy, I don't think he's blowing smoke here. The senator added that he believes the state can also strike partnerships with, sorry, I've already read that. God damn it. Quote, we've got great opportunities from Memphis all the way across the state, said Senator Haggerty. Whether it's working towards stablecoin legislation or crafting regulation that will enable industries like Bitcoin mining and data centers to thrive in the United States, Senator Haggerty believes these efforts should be inherently bipartisan. Quote, these are bipartisan or non-partisan issues, frankly, said the senator. If you care about the competitiveness of America and you want to see innovation happen on our shores rather than being pushed overseas, well, then you're going to support what we're trying to do in terms of putting a regulatory framework in place that will deliver certainty, that will create an ecosystem here in America that will allow these companies to thrive. Quote, it's not just the stablecoin legislation I'm putting forward or what may happen with Bitcoin or other technologies like that. It's the overall blockchain technology, God dang it, that's going to help advance America beyond the 21st century. We need to stay in the lead, and we can stay in the lead. Okay, everything was great about that except for the whole blockchain technology. No, Senator Haggerty, it's not about blockchain. It's all about Bitcoin. But again, these things that he's saying, he's operating from a position of deep knowledge of nuclear energy, right? Maybe not he himself, but the state of Tennessee, the Tennessee Valley Authority, Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and all the universities that came together that essentially kind of populate Oak Ridge National Laboratory, all of these things, we should take them very, very seriously. When Haggerty says that they're probably going to be building nuclear power plants, what we're probably going to see is a complete innovation of nuclear power, and it's probably going to be centered inside of Tennessee. That's sort of where I'm thinking, what I'm thinking is going to happen. Now, Fold from Fold app, Fold has secured $250 million of equity to purchase and expand BTC Treasury, according to Daniel Kuhn from The Block. Fold Holdings, ticker symbol is FLD, by the way, the parent company behind the Fold Bitcoin wallet and app, has secured a $250 million equity purchase facility to expand its Bitcoin treasury, according to an announcement on Tuesday. The firm says it has entered into an agreement to sell up to $250 million worth of newly issued shares to fund its Bitcoin acquisition strategy. Quote, the company is not required to use the facility and controls the timing and amount of any drawdown, the announcement reads, implying no coins have been purchased as of the date of the filing with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. Like many recent crypto corporate treasury firms such as 21 Capital and Nakamoto, both of which took cues from Michael Saylor's BTC acquisition vehicle strategy, Fold is funding its purchase through private placements, which effectively turn its stock into a leveraged play on the price of Bitcoin. So yet one more derivative is what they're really saying. Fold launched in 2019, began as a wallet company, and has since expanded into broader financial services, including the Fold card, and a Bitcoin treasury strategy. It has entered into at least one other convertible note agreement to purchase 475 Bitcoin. And according to Bitcoin treasuries, Fold now holds approximately 1,500 BTC worth around $157 million, making it one of the larger publicly traded Bitcoin treasury firms. They went public in 2024 through a SPAC merger with NASDAQ-traded FTAC Emerald Acquisition Group at a pre-money valuation of $365 million at the time. So Fold is marching on, as well as H100 Group. They receive 144.8 Bitcoin in a convertible loan deal. I thought this was kind of interesting. Jenna Montgomery has it for Bitcoin Magazine. H100 Group, a Swedish health tech firm, which we've talked about it before here on the show. They have received 144.8 Bitcoin as part of a settlement tied to its convertible loan agreement, according to a company press release issued on Monday. With this latest transaction, the Stockholm-based firm now holds a total of 169.2 Bitcoin on its balance sheet. So they went from, holy crap, they went from like 20 Bitcoin to 100 to 169 Bitcoin in almost one shot. That's pretty impressive. The 144.8 Bitcoin was transferred as part of the first hour segments of H100's loan agreement, which has been well received by investors thus far. H100 said in the release, quote, H100 Group AB has today received 144.8 Bitcoin as part of the proceeds from tranches 1 through 4 under its previously announced convertible loan agreement. This follows recent reporting from Blockstream CEO Adam Back, committing to lead a 750 million kroner or $79 million US funding initiative for H100, anchored by 150 million krona injection in tranche number 6. The loan, structured for speed and cost efficiency, was priced at $6.38 kroner per share, a 33% premium to market, showing investor confidence. So they're paying 1/3 over what they would be if they just bought the damn Bitcoin themselves. The loan structure includes a settlement flexibility, either in cash or Bitcoin, which allows counterparties to opt for BTC delivery, reducing fiat friction and lining up with the firm's long-term treasury outlook. Oh, that's nice. They can get physical delivery of the BTC if they choose. That's going to be interesting. Quote, unexpectedly, given the strong reception, tranches 1 through 4 became in the money rapidly. Back told CoinDesk, quote, I was expecting H100 would convert them over time as they reached in the money status, end quote. This funding approach allows H100 to bypass traditional rights issues while onboarding capital in a flexible manner. Tranches 7 and 8 are now on deck, with room for size increases depending on market appetite. This also reflects H100's evolving financial strategy. While the company's core operation remains focused on AI-driven health and longevity services, its growing Bitcoin position is reshaping how capital is raised, stored, and deployed. As of now, the company's BTC holdings stand at 169.2 Bitcoin, up from just 24.4 Bitcoin prior to this latest tranche execution. The stock price has jumped 22% on Monday in response to those developments, and as the firm continues negotiations for future tranches and explores adoption of BTC as a financial backbone, it positions itself uniquely at the intersection of health tech and decentralized finance. So H100 has apparently done exceedingly well in this deal. Everything about what I just read is that, at least as far as this particular company is concerned, they are selling out of these instrumentations hand over fist. They've already got in the money on the first 4 tranches. They're working on number 6 right now, and tranches 7 and 8 are on deck. And apparently there seems to be no squelching the appetite. So just understand that we can hate what's going on with this whole companies buying Bitcoin thing, but it's not going to stop because DDC Enterprises has secured themselves $528 million to expand their own Bitcoin holdings. Bitcoin Magazine, Oscar Perez is writing, today DDC Enterprises Limited announced that it had raised 3 security purchase agreements for a total of $528 million to expand its own Bitcoin holdings. According to a press release, this is one of the largest single-purpose Bitcoin raises by any New York Stock Exchange listed company. Quote, today is a defining moment for DDC Enterprises and our shareholders, said the founder and CEO of DDC Enterprises, Norma Chu. This capital commitment of up to $528 million, backed by respected institutions from both traditional finance and the digital asset frontier, represents a strong mandate to execute an ambitious corporate Bitcoin accumulation strategy globally. Our vision is unequivocal. We are building the world's most valuable Bitcoin treasury. That was a direct quote. Really? You got a long way to go there, chickie. The funding, backed by investors including Anson Funds, Animoca Brands, Kinetic Capital, and QCP Capital, will be primarily allocated towards significantly increasing the company's Bitcoin holdings. Quote, this funding is expected to propel DDC into one of the top global corporate Bitcoin holders. This investment by Anson Funds and the group of PIPE investors is a resounding validation of Bitcoin's important role in future corporate balance sheets, said Chu. Components of the capital raise include, now remember there were 3 instrumentations that were presented. The first one is a $26 million equity PIPE investment. The company will issue 2.4 million Class A ordinary shares at an average price of $10.30 per share to investors including Amicoa Brands, Kinetic Capital, and QCP Capital. The shares will be restricted for 180 days. I guess that means that you can't do anything with it for 180 days. The second one is a $300 million convertible note and $2 million private placement. Anson Funds will provide the initial $25 million with no interest to mature in 24 months with up to $275 million available in future tranches. Anson will also purchase 307,693 Class A ordinary shares for $2 million in a concurrent private placement. The third instrument is a $200 million equity line of credit. Anson Funds has also committed a $200 million equity line of credit, giving DDC flexible access to capital for future Bitcoin purchases. Quote, at DDC, we will deploy this capital with institutional discipline and unwavering conviction, cementing our position as the premier bridge between global capital markets and the Bitcoin ecosystem. DDC Enterprise is strongly positioned as the definitive publicly traded vehicle for concentrated Bitcoin exposure and value creation. My focus will be on growing our BTC treasury and delivering attractive BTC yield consistently for our shareholders. So that's a lot of capital being raised in a lot of different ways to just simply buy Bitcoin. Again, there's nothing that we can do about this. And people are really losing their minds about this because it's just, I get it. It feels like a fad, and it feels like a fad to me too. You're not alone, right? I'm seeing a lot of fanaticism here. I'm seeing a lot of fear of missing out here. And, these things they have a tendency to not end very well, honestly. And that's okay. We've been here before. We'll be here again. But it is what it is. And for the people that are saying that this is going to kill Bitcoin, no, it won't. For the people that are saying that it's stupid to buy stock in these companies when you could just hold your own Bitcoin, that one I'm going to totally agree with. But there's something that popped up in one of my feeds this morning, and people were asking, why? Why would you actually buy shares of a company stock who's buying Bitcoin rather than just buy the Bitcoin yourself? And I think what it is this. I think especially right now where we are at this maybe the height of the fad. Is this peak fad? I don't know. I'm not even going to call it. But you do have a lot of fear of missing out. And I think what's really going on here is, I think that the actual statement was, what's a word for this? And then the meme was people buying shares of companies who actually buy Bitcoin instead of buying them themselves. The word that I'm thinking of is greed. But if I had to give it 2 words, it would be uninformed greed. I think that that's what's really going on here, is that people know that something's going on with Bitcoin, but they're just jumping on the hype train. They don't really know what it is, not yet. They haven't really studied it. They haven't had time, or they're trad fi bros, man. They're bro dudes. They're dude bros. They don't know what they're doing. All they know is that everybody else is jumping on this thing. They have access directly to those markets, so they're just piling in there because they haven't actually learned how to buy Bitcoin all on their own and how to custody it, or even, if they want to be really stupid, how to let what company should they choose to custody it for them. I think this is more reactionary than anything else. Me, do I own Strike or Strife or anything like that? No, I don't. Am I going to? Probably not. Why? Because the friction. I'm not a legacy trader. If I own companies that own stock in legacy traditional finance. Yes, I admit it. That's because I have partners. And I would be outvoted if I said all of our money needs to go into Bitcoin. I have said that, but I'm being voted down. I'm right. I will continue to be right, because when I finally got my partners, which is family members, when I finally got the other 2 partners to actually say, okay, we'll buy some Bitcoin, we bought it at $33,000. Do the math. It's the best performing asset that we have, literally. And yet I would still be voted down. So I don't even bring it up. Maybe I'll bring it up sometime this summer when we're all together, hanging out at on a vacation or something like that, and say that we really need to, this piss ant buying every week for the amount that we're buying really just isn't enough. We really need to position ourselves better for this. But chances are good they're just going to vote me down, because they're legacy trad financial guys. That's the reason. That's what I'm getting at, is that where's the friction? People hate friction. They just do. And if they're comfortable, if there's less friction for them to buy shares of Strife or Strike or Strategy or whatever the hell it is, if there's less friction to buy that to get exposure to Bitcoin, that's the road they're going to take. Water seeks the way of least resistance. It just does, right? And people are no different. I guess that's why, Bruce Lee was like, be like water, I don't think he was actually saying take the path of least resistance, as much as saying be able to squirm your way out of any situation, because nobody can really hold on to water. But in this particular case, if there's less friction for me to just buy Bitcoin instead of going into the legacy markets to get exposure to Bitcoin, by God, I'm just going to buy Bitcoin. I'm comfortable with it. I know how to do it. I know how to hold it. Nothing about it. I have no questions about it. There's no friction for me here, right? But if I'm a traditional finance guy and I know nothing about Bitcoin, then the opposite is exactly true. And I really think that there's probably more than 60% of what I was just stating is part of the reason why people are opting to buy shares of companies that hold Bitcoin, or to buy ETFs rather than buy Bitcoin themselves. Should I be worried about it? Absolutely not. Should you be worried about it? I don't know. Do you want to walk around worrying about shit all day? If you do, then by all means, you worry about it, and I'll see you on the other side. This has been Bitcoin and I'm your host, David Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and hope to see you again real soon. Have a great day.